Hi, my name is Lina and welcome back to my channel, and today I want to share something with you. Remember high school? Remember its cliques, adolescents, teenagers, teachers that abuse their power, detention, gym teachers who are necrophiles, all normal stuff. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is a visual novel that I found on Steam, since everyone was talking about it, and I wanted to play it myself. And, it's pretty interesting. The visual novel we'll be talking about is Class of '09, which defines itself as an anti-dating sim. So, as opposed to a typical visual novel where there is like a lot of romantic interest and you have to, pick a lot of dialogue options, which eventually leads you to picking that love interest as your ending. This is not a dating sim. As it says, it's an anti-dating sim, and it's very Western, right? Class of '09 is something that I couldn't get out of my head after playing it, and after playing it, I was so upset that there was nothing left for me to enjoy of this media. Class of '09 has two games of itself. It has the first one and the re-up version, which is not a sequel, it's just Class of '09, but with more options and more characters that you can choose a route from. So, like a typical visual novel, you do get to pick who you end up dating or furthering your relationship with, but it's not like you're dating them to date them, or you're dating them because you're actually romantically interested in them. You see, Class of '09 is like a car crash that you would actually like to be involved in. I have a lot of thoughts about this visual novel and its re-up. And let me just say, I don't think I've ever enjoyed a visual novel as much as I did for Class of '09 and the re-up. This has been, like, I replayed this game several times, both of them. They're on Steam, by the way. You can go get them at a price, of course. And I was so, like, disappointed that there was only, like, overall 22 options. If you add the re-up and the original game together, there's so much potential. I don't think they've explored enough. But anyway, before I get to me, I guess, glazing the game and its history and its context and why it was made in the first place, I guess we'll have to introduce the concept, the whole premise of Class of '09 and the re-up. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, you know the drill. Let's just get right into it. So the visual novel features a protagonist named Nicole, who is a very well-adjusted human being.
Make no mistake, I'm a sociopath.
She briefly explains her backstory of how she kept moving from state to state, from public school to public school, so she could never develop any kind of sense of stay or any kind of connection with the place that she was at, or even with the people. Because she always kept moving all the time, anytime where she got well adjusted, she moved.
So by the time I was 14, right? I moved from 7 different houses and attended 6 different school districts. After a while, you don't see a point in making friends. The Vitamin C graduation song? Yeah, I can't relate.
So it was kind of unfortunate on her behalf. Her parents were always fighting. They were divorced, and the mom always landed on tails 8 times, so which means that she always won sole custody of her kids. And one day, Nicole moves into a school, and she thinks that this is the final destination. She's never gonna move again. Unfortunately, their brother, the piece of shit gamer brother...
My piece of shit gamer brother got us evicted for pirating breakbeat mixtapes. It's like not even good music.
Who loves bad music, gets him evicted for downloading bad music of a mixtape. After they get evicted, Nicole was so upset about having to move all the time, despite the fact that she got so well adjusted to this place, that she ends up going to her dad's place because she wants to stay with her dad now. But unfortunately, she comes and opens the door to the living room and sees her father has killed himself.
Anyway, so Mom was crying, packing up the moving boxes, and that's when she told me we're moving out of state, and I just got settled. I said, fuck you, I'm living with Dad. He's just a neighborhood down. I put the boxes down, go over, knock on the door, and boom! A gunshot! My second Christmas killed himself!
He has shot himself and has blasted his brains all over the wall, looking like a video game.
Floor looked like a whole ass video game, just blood everywhere.
And then she finds a note with a Cookie Monster magnet, where that's the dad's suicide note, where he just solely blames Nicole in 2 words.
And get this, his suicide note was stuck to the fridge with a Cookie Monster magnet. All he wrote on it, Nicole's fault. I'm Nicole, by the way, hi. What the fuck did I do to him?
And that's the rest of the backstory. She moves in once again, she moves into a new school, and all is well. She has enough self-awareness to admit that she is not right in the head, which is really admirable, because a lot of people with her personality don't have that level of self-awareness. But based on the fact that she has to move all the time, she's probably developed like some kind of a mechanism in her head to kind of prevent herself from going insane. What do I know? I'm not a fucking psychologist. So after our first, during our first gameplay, we are introduced to a bunch of characters. This asshole, Kyler, the Lord and Savior, Jeffrey, Jekka, the teachers. I'm sure there's a lot I missed. But basically she meets like a couple of characters off the top of their head. What's really funny is that they're kind of archetypes of what you would see in high school, in like those high school movies during the late 2000s, except that they are amped up to an offensive level. And every single person in this visual novel is abominable. There's not a single redeemable person in this entire visual novel. This or the re-up. There's not a single redeemable character. So if you start to feel bad, I will remind you that these characters are not worth feeling any sympathy. There's not a single event in this story where you can have any kind of moral high ground. There is not a single choice in the story that a normal, well-adjusted person would pick. Every choice seems to go really, really, really dark. Or they just get dark, but just a few shades lighter compared to a lot of what's going on in this game. So I feel like I should break down every single ending, but I kind of want you to kind of play it for yourself, so I'm going to leave a lot of details out. And I'm just going to discuss my favorite moments in the game. So there is this route in which you go down, may end up leading to your death, or you end up getting compensated. So if you choose the gym class option during this segment, you'll end up going to the gym class. You end up going to the locker room, and then the gym teacher will politely come into the locker room to see if you need any help with putting your gym clothes on. And you can do one or two things. You can humor him and see where this goes, or you could scream as loud as you can. If you scream as loud as you can, there'll be a girl who comes in back facing the gym teacher and I guess essentially saving you from the trouble.
Ah! The gym teacher's trying to fuck!
Honey, quiet down there. I need this job.
He won't get his hands off this minor ass! Oh my god, what are you doing in the girls' locker room? Were you really grabbing some minor ass?
Minor as in underage? I think my ass is pretty major, to be honest.
After that, he gives you hush money so that you shut up about what he tried to do to you in the girls' locker room. You end up getting these really nice stuff. And it turns out that sometimes, having your gym teacher being a pedophile has advantages.
This might sound fucked up, but I'm almost happy our gym teacher was a pedophile.
I'm definitely happy our gym teacher was a pedophile. Do you see all this cool shit we bought?
Yeah, the settlement money is pretty nice.
My mom was like, oh, it's hush money. I'm like, whatever. The media wouldn't pay us nearly this much.
Who needs morals when you have designer?
And then if you try to date him, you either get two options during this date. You'll either go home with him, or you make a scene and get him arrested. If you choose to go home with him, you'll have a very, very bad ending for you.
Most strangers are fine as long as they're not into necrophilia. The second I stepped in, he locked the door behind us, grabbing my neck and squeezing really fucking tight. The last thing I remember was the rush in his eyes while the life slipped from mine.
Also, I love the implication that Nicole is okay with just randomly going to a strange man's house as long as they're not a necrophile. Yeah, she really has no regards for her life at all. Another option, if you go all the way back to whether you pick gym class or photography, if you pick photography, you're gonna go into that photography class and you're gonna find out something really interesting about your photography teacher, depending on your next choice of whether you do something for him, which is like manual labor or moving something from the photography room, or you don't. But what's really interesting is when you find out that he's a white nationalist who wants to create an ethno-state for white people.
When you take the lens off and snap a picture, the image is just white. Then you put it back on and focus. The shapes seen are merely obstructions, sullying the whiteness.
What the fuck does this have to do with anything?
It's just a metaphor for a larger problem in this country. We focus on other cultural obstructions so much that we've allowed them to mix with and tarnish the initial whiteness that started it all.
Huh. Yeah, I think I might get it, but could you give me an example of a cultural obstruction?
Rap music.
And if you don't agree with it, Jekka will. Jekka will end up getting called by the teacher at some point to talk with her in class when no one else is around, and he convinces her about this movement of ethno-state.
Yeah, about that. So I was talking to him, kind of confronting him, and his arguments weren't that out there.
I don't get it. He's a political extremist. How is he not out there?
See, we said that, but like, he asked me why it's okay to do Black Pride and Mexican Pride, but not White Pride, and I really didn't have an answer for him.
So you just kind of backed off then?
Well, not exactly. I kept asking more and more about it, and we actually agreed on a lot. He wants me to do a shoot with him this weekend for the White Pride Party's blog.
And what'd you tell him?
I said absolutely. Nothing wrong with being proud of your heritage. Why not? Plus $50 for the day.
Did he mention an ethno-state for white people?
He might have briefly gone into it. Mr. White kept telling me how pretty my skin was. I wasn't paying attention. What's an ethno-state anyway?
A country where all the non-white races are kinda exterminated.
Oh, it's probably not even that serious. All I know is I'm proud to be white.
For white people, whether you agree with that movement, you either end up blowing up a Puerto Rican rights bingo game, you end up in jail and have to join an Aryan Sisterhood for prison protection, or you can have Islamic terrorists come over to your school and blow it up.
So right after I uploaded that video to the NOI forums, it was immediately shared everywhere. Shared to the point of Minister Farrakhan seeing it and ordering a full-scale arson assault on the entire school.
I told you the choices weren't good. Another route that you could try is dating Kyler, or kind of talking to Kyler and him wanting to date you, but you don't want to. So he either decides to kill himself by jumping off a building, or he kills himself by jumping off a building.
All I deserve is a deep plunge. You did this, Nicole!
Oh God. What was that 90s TV show? Did I do that?
I'm traumatized right now. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you are in the talking stage of Kyler, if you pick the options in which you end up with Kyler, not end up with Kyler, but end up with some more scenes with you and Kyler, you are not, it's a game over. You can't, like, there's no way out of it. Even if you try to be nice, you will somehow make him kill himself.
Here goes nothing!
He really jumped!
Oh shit! My legs are in pieces!
Somebody call 911.
Somebody already did. Step aside.
I'll have to.
It's really a shame because I actually liked Kyler. Like, I think he was gonna be one of my favorite characters, and I think he still is up there, right? Because I kind of like the dumb jock with feelings trope. Then we kind of find out that he's a rapist, so it's kind of, well, how am I supposed to feel about you now? I still love him though, even like as a character, not as a person, because everyone is a bad person. Especially when he violently assaults Jeffrey, because like the the presence of him makes him so upset. Like there's a scene where Kyler's so angry at the fact that he didn't get into a lacrosse camp because of affirmative action, and that means that like majority of immigrants or Mexican kids are filling in the gaps.
God damn it, our team keeps fucking losing. So fucking gay!
What's your problem?
You fucking whore, shut up!
Hey, coach, are we just... Okay, no discipline for that one. Go on.
I didn't get into lacrosse camp. Such bullshit!
Well, maybe just get better at it.
No, you don't understand. Like, there's all these dumbass underprivileged student passes. They're doing so many that like 20% of the sports are automatically filled. All these Mexican kids act like America's so racist when they got the fucking red carpet rolled out for everything.
And they're making it harder for him to join the lacrosse camp, so he's obviously very upset about that. And he lashes out at Nicole, and at some point, depending on what you choose, he almost breaks your nose until Jeffrey tries to save you, and Kyler completely snaps and hospitalizes him.
I'm gonna break your whore nose right now, you fucking bitch!
Ah, he's gonna break my nose! Stop it!
Screaming won't save you now.
Hold on. What do you think you're doing?
Nothing, coach. I'm just gonna punch this slut in the face until one of her eyes stop working. I was just gonna make her nose bleed, but I'll make sure you never walk again.
Huh? You can't do that.
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
I feel like anyone who bullies Jeffrey is automatically likable in my eyes. If you end up taking picking choices that end up with you talking to Jeffrey more, you'll find out that he has a particular fetish where he gets aroused by the idea of 50-foot tall girls with cat-like features to step on him.
So you like him how much taller than you exactly?
At least like 12 feet taller, preferably 50. I want to be picked up with only 2 of her fingers.
And what do you call that again?
It's a giantess fetish. A woman so tall she can't even see those minute details about me, like how I can't tie my shoes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to see that either. This is cool. What else?
Really? Well, I like it when cute girls walk all over me.
So Nicole ends up exposing him in front of all the whole of it, in front of the whole school. Like when she spreads the rumor, he gets bullied, and depending on what you choose over here, he either shoots up the school or you continue your lives as normal. Yeah, like, I just love how there's such a thin line and there's only one option away from him making an extreme decision. Kind of scary how these characters, all it takes is for a slight change in the atmosphere for them to go completely apeshit. There is an American cop in this game. Of course it's in America, but there's this character who's a cop. And I think he's the only character who has any form of morals compared to the rest of the cast. because he is just genuinely doing his job. Even though he ends up blasting Nicole in the legs for shoplifting, which is pretty funny. Like, I guess it's pretty messed up. Like, the funniest moment was when he shot Nicole.
Come on, what? But
We have a runner! Freeze!
God damn it!
For shoplifting. And he does it 5 times.
He actually fucking shot me! What the fuck is wrong with you?
Maybe now you'll think twice about breaking the law.
You shot 5 bullets, so she'll think twice next time?
But I think he's the only character that has any form of... He has probably the strongest morals of any character in the game. Pretty much all of the adults in this game are terrible human beings. The mom is abusive. It is heavily implied. All of the male teachers are pedophiles and rapists, or have tendencies. There's a counselor character who really wants to try to make pedophilia seem like it's just like mindlessly shunned by society. He's a marathon pedophile. The term was coined by Nicole in the game, where he tries to kind of make pedophile just seem like a typical another sexuality, like homosexuality. And then when he molests you, you will feel guilty if you try to run to anyone, because you've been groomed to accept that it's normal. There's so much crazy shit that goes on in this game, but you can't take it seriously. Like, you cannot try to act like you're the moral superior or try to be a good person. It's because the game won't let you be a good person. They will force you to take like 2 really evil options, but you have to choose the less evil. Dysfunctional toxic characters are really fun in fiction because there's nothing that can go right for them, because there's nothing right about them. These people are so I don't feel sorry for these characters when they end up having their house blown off. Anytime you think, oh, they wouldn't go this far, the game wouldn't do that, they do 100%. They have no boundaries, and I think the whole appeal is shock value. And let me tell you about shock value. Shock value is dependent on shocking the audience. I know, shocker, pun intended. But the whole point of shock value is supposed to shock you, right? That's like a lot of what dark humor TV shows put in their shows. Not a lot of it, but enough so that the audience can, kind of have the feel of unpredictability, depending on what kind of dark comedy this is. Because you will see a lot in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on shows adjacent to that. But shock value relies on the audience being shocked. It's like showing things that are supposed to kind of evoke a strong reaction from you. Like, notice that the title says class of 09, as in 2009. And during the late 2000s, I was a baby. I was like 5 years old. But anyway, during the late 2000s, there was this huge popularity around offensive humor and edgy humor. Like, back then, things that were considered acceptable back then, people were a lot tolerant of things back then, and these things would not slide today. These things would be deemed offensive to a lot of people, and even harmful. I feel like I think that's why I love it so much. It's so fun. It's like watching the Ghost Stories dub. Obviously, who watches the subversion? It's so boring. But that's what it's like. It's like watching the Ghost Stories in dub. It's the same level of energy, and that was during the 2000s. It has the same energy as the amount of shocking stuff they say, and so out of pocket, like in Class of 09, where they just blatantly say stuff that would be considered taboo. Actually, Nicole is actually I love her as a character. She's very interesting, and I feel like she's very easily dissectable. I feel like there's a lot within her that can stem from a lot of things. This is definitely a good, fun game. So before we conclude, I will have to get into the criticisms and my personal criticisms of this game, Class of 09 is supposed to be like subversive to typical visual novels, but I feel like it already defeats the point because it's a Western visual novel, so I think people already expect it to be different, right? Like the way it's advertised as like something that like an anti-dating sim. Like they want to let you know that they're not like other visual novels and that they are not the typical, oh, pick your love interest and see how far it goes. They are completely different, and they advertise themselves by calling themselves an anti-dating simulator, so that you know what's it's what you're supposed to find appealing in this, right? I think criticisms people had is that it felt like it was too fixated on like edgy stuff. There were times where the edgy, offensive shock value would go too much, and it would create this kind of paradox where you're just completely numb to all the crazy shit that happens in the game because you start expecting the worst. So that fun element kind of dissipates quickly if you know all the game's antics, which makes it less fun, right? Because sometimes they do, but generally the dialogues are funny. It's like the way that they overuse shock value and shocking events and shocking taboo topics. But anyway, this is based off a real events. I mean, the teenagers being offensive was very easily believable, especially during the late 2000s in America, because this is probably like the closest, most accurate depiction of Western teenagers in America in any kind of American media. Because like even if there are like kind of archetypes and tropes, it's not like those high school stereotypes came out of nowhere, right? Like they do have archetypes, and they just have like a dark side to them. Like Kyler being a stereotypical jock is a benzosexual rapist. Anyway, the game is really fun. It is really fun to play, right? It is very fun to put yourself in these situations and just to see how far it would go. It's like really, it's like if almost freeing. You wanna, like, if you want to just play something and you're like bored of visual novels or bored of any game, this is a good game for good entertainment. And what's even better is that they have voice actors, so you don't have to read them. So it's like a TV show with like every time you're going back and picking another route. Think of it as like you're watching this TV show, but it took a different route. So you're watching this TV show in a lifetime, and the TV show's name is Class of 09. This was pretty fun though. I think I would play it again, and if there is a third, a re-up, because I didn't get too much into the re-up of this video, but if there is, I will happily play it. Anyway, tell me who your favorite characters were in the description, in the comments. And I will see you for the next video, okay, next time. Okay, bye!